AirPods. Yes. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Huh. All the tests.
Good evening. Let us begin by acknowledging that we are gathered today in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral, present, and future territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Today, we gather with the intent followed by the living peace and friendship treaties, with respect, cooperation, and coexistence. We are all treaty people. I call this meeting of the Mahone Bay Town Council to order. And we will go with the approval of the agenda or any additions.
Move that we approve the agenda as circulated.
Second by Councilor Dean. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, that motion is approved. We'll move on to the minutes of the regular council meeting of January 14th. Are there any errors or omissions? No. Councilor Feeney, you moved
Okay,
the,
sorry.
the
It's gonna give
acceptance?
Councilor Carver the honor. The mayor, I move that we approve the minutes of the meeting of January 14th as submitted.
And second
I'll
by
second the
Councilor Carver.
Move and
Thank you
accept.
very much. All those in favor signify. Aye. Opposed? Nobody? Okay. The motion is carried. We'll move on to announcements from council members. Does anyone have any updates from the community or special announcements to make about citizens or? I do have an update on Christian Harry. He's progressing. He called me last night, which is the first time I've talked to him on the phone for a while. And he walked this week a little bit and down the hallway at the hospital. So that's all really good news about Christian. So he
Great
still
news.
has a long road ahead of him. So
That's great news. I do
Yep.
have something to say about a session was held on Tuesday evening, sharing circle, and it was an event that was held to share feelings, ideas. The session was held on Tuesday evening, sharing circle. About the recent spate of domestic killings in the province and specifically in Mahone Bay. And it was a very powerful event. More than 50 people were in the room. And it was information, a lot of information was shared, and as well as some private stories. So it was very impactful.
mhm.
And thank you to the mayor for her wonderful work in assisting with that.
Well, it was wonderful to work with that group of women who organized along with me, and it was very much needed, and probably the turnout was really affirmed how needed it was for our community to get together. We are looking into a follow-up. We've been offered space at the Lunenburg School for the Arts as a place to hold another event on Women's Day, which is March 8th every year. So stay tuned for updates on that. So it will take a different format, but it will be to have the topic of intimate partner violence addressed. So anybody else have anything? Okay, we'll move on to presentations, and we'll welcome the folks from Hoover County Wheels. And Jerome, you're doing the
I'm just doing the introduction.
okay, good. Is this as exciting as school board meetings?
I try to forget those.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Mayor Lotus Croft, the members of council. I am president of Lunenburg County Wheels, Jerome Tanner. We appreciate the opportunity to update council on the operation of Lunenburg County Wheels. With me this evening is our treasurer, Harry Beach, and operations manager, Darren Lenz. It is now over 10 months that we started the last leg of our expansion to include all of MODL in the towns of Mahone Bay, Lunenburg, and Bridgewater. We are pleased that we were able to purchase 4 new vans to provide this increased service to all our residents. I'll now ask Darren to provide some updates on our operation, and then Harry will provide some update on our finances.
Thank you, Jerome. Good evening, everybody. So it's just, as Jerome mentioned, just to give a little update as to where we are in our expansion process. So we now have, currently 6 vehicles in our fleet. We have an 8-passenger bus, 4 new ProMaster, 8-passenger ProMaster vans, and a 7-passenger minivan, of which we have 5 of those vehicles on the road at any one day, depending on the need. We operate from 8 AM to 12 and then 1 to 5 PM, Monday to Friday. So again, as Jerome mentioned, we're covering all of MODL, including the towns of Bridgewater, Mahone Bay, and Lunenburg. So as of April, our new vans finally showed up, and we did our final leg of our expansion, which included south of the 103 and east of the Hay River, which included Mahone Bay townships. So we were very pleased that we were able to complete our expansion with the addition of the 4 new vans. It's been a busy year. We've added some office staff to complete our expansion. We were using a call center for our dispatch. We knew with the added call volume and the additional vehicles, they wouldn't be able to handle our call volume, so we added a full-time dispatcher in January, last January. We hired 3 full-time drivers, 2 part-time drivers, and we have 9 casual drivers on staff, along with 3 volunteers that do 1 shift a week, and then we have some volunteers that are available for community services for if an organization calls us and wants to operate either like in an evening or on a weekend, we can offer that service if we have a driver available. Ridership, so we've seen a steady increase in our ridership through this fiscal year, obviously with the expansion area, including the 2 more towns. Obviously there's a lot more population in those areas, so we did see a big bump. We hit 1,300 riders in October, which was a milestone for us. Certainly kept our dispatcher happy to book all those rides, but we made it happen, so it's good. I'll also include, we've got some statistics down there from Mahone Bay, so I can't see the totals with the. So right to date, we've carried 9,768 clients and 600. So 300 and 400 of those are from the Mahone Bay area. It's like
Quite striking, actually.
really good for just adding in April, the townships. We've seen a lot of uptake in the area. We certainly do a lot of runs to the nursing home, the new nursing home. We service a lot of the people that work there. We've taken people into the LCLC for driving lessons, and certainly we see a lot of usage for the food bank as well. So where are people going? We have a lot of different uses for a service. We've had a big upturn in the number of people that are using us for work. We've had a lot of immigration into our area, and a lot of those people don't have vehicles or driver's licenses at this point, so they're using our services to get around town and get to work. A lot of sheltered workshops, training, education, certainly a lot for medical appointments and access to food, whether that's going to a food bank or accessing grocery stores. Physical activity, shopping and errands, and social and recreational. A few others that don't fit into those categories. So pretty good selection across the board. Certainly shopping, errands, and food and medical appointments seem to be kind of topping out on the list. So what's new for us for this year, as I mentioned, certainly the 4 new vans, are increase in staff in order to keep those vans on the road. We added the 5th vehicle in, so originally we were only planning on using 4 vehicles. Our call volume got high enough, and we were turning more people away than what the board liked to see. We were up around 100 people we were turning away from. Didn't like that statistic, so the board got together and agreed to do the financial expenditures to put the 5th vehicle on the road. We put the 5th on, and we've certainly seen that number drop down to almost nothing. So it was the right move to do. We had to move to a bigger office space to accommodate the new staff. We added in a part-time admin person, so we now have 3 people in the office. And in January, we launched a new dispatch software. So part of the Rural Transportation Association, which is what we belong to. We're part of 24 other organizations throughout the province that are doing a similar thing to what we're doing. We got together, and with the support of the provincial government, are developing a dispatch software that can be used across all the Rural Transportation Association. So that launched in January. And obviously with any new software, there's always little hiccups. So we're working through those on a daily basis, but in the end, I think it'll be a big bonus for all the organizations. Again, we appreciate the support the town has given us. It's certainly enabled us to concentrate on doing our expansion, servicing the people of this community, as well as the population of Model and the other town. And but what's not in this presentation are the names and the faces of the hundreds of people that we transport on a daily, not daily basis, but on a monthly basis. I mean, without us, there's a lot of people that wouldn't be able to get to where they want to go. Obviously, other modes of transportation that are available are much more costly than what we are. So if we are not available, then some people just can't go where they want to go. Again, thank you very much for your support.
Can I ask a question now?
By all means.
I have a couple of questions, actually.
Sure.
First of all, it's just absolutely wonderfully amazing that this has taken off like this. I mean, after all the years that we've been dithering around transportation in Lunenburg County, fixed route, dial-a-ride, who's going to pay for it? And you've done it. I mean, that is fantastic, just really fabulous. And in such a short time to have gone from, I just remember those first buses, and you were sort of wondering if anybody was ever going to ride them.
Yeah.
And look at it now, it's just wonderful. So one question is, are you getting a real cross-section of ages? I mean, is there one bulk of ages in any one age category, or?
Initially, certainly more seniors, but of late, because of the diversity in our region now, we're seeing a lot more younger people using us, as I said, to get to places of work. So our dispersion of age is certainly diversified over the last, I'd say 6 months.
But a lot of seniors.
So certainly a lot of seniors.
That's interesting. I might have thought they might have been reluctant to do something new like that. I mean,
No, it's difficult to get the word of mouth out to people. And we've been doing some community outreaches. We were in Riverport a month ago, and we did another one actually it was over the Flourish Center on Tuesday. And it is surprising after, even with all the media that we've tried to put out there, how many people still don't know about it.
mhm,
So, and it's for elderly people, it's the word of mouth. It's getting
Mhm.
somebody that's used the service saying,
Yeah.
hey, I've done this is how you do it.
mhm,
It works great. Why don't you give it a try?
mhm.
Or somebody's sibling saying, hey, this is available to you. Why don't we give it a try? And for older people, for that exact reason, a little
Mhm.
hesitant to maybe use something new, to have that person kind of
Mhm.
help them through the process is a
Mhm.
big deal. For sure.
I had another question, but I'll yield the floor to anybody else.
Any other questions? Comments?
It's a question about the money that the municipalities are putting in. I don't think it was done on a prorated basis. I think it was just up to each municipality to decide how much they wanted to donate. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I'm curious about how much everybody donated. I can't remember what our
Well, Harry
contribution
will
was.
speak to that when he
Okay,
does
that's great. Yeah,
his
yeah,
financial
that's
report.
great. Yeah. And for the provincial money, do you have to apply every year, or is that core funding that comes every year?
So we're under a pilot program right now. So I think we have 2 more years in our pilot funding. And then it flips over into or what would they call regular CTAP funding. So that would be our regular yearly funding that we would expect from the provincial government. So which as long as the pilot is successful, the information that we're getting so far is whatever we're getting now should roll over into
Mhm.
CTAC.
Right, thanks.
That's good to know. I was involved with the 3-year pilot project for the Maritime Bus. I'm still with that group, and it's really good to see us getting these transportation issues solved for our citizens, because it's been a long time coming, and it's been a lot of frustration for the volunteers who year after year said we're gonna make this happen someday, and look what has happened. So,
We're here and hopefully we're here to stay.
yeah, well, we
Yeah,
used it as part of our orientation. We had
Yeah,
a
that's
day that we were driven around, and it was a great introduction for all of us.
Very good. I'll hand it over to Harry.
So I'm Harry Beach, and I'm the treasurer of the Senior Wheels Association, and the Senior Wheels Association is the umbrella organization that owns the name Lunenburg County Wheels, and we operate under that name, but we're still officially called the Senior Wheels Association, which is our legacy, and we operated for 32 years in and around Bridgewater, and now we're operating everywhere, and it's great. For over 60 years, I took personal transportation for granted until I joined Senior Wheels and volunteered to drive at that time a small bus around town, and I saw what it did for people who didn't have other ways to get where they needed to go, and people who weren't able to drive any longer. Some people were able to stay in their house. We were able to come and get them all the time. It made a big impression on me, and with the leadership from Jerome and others on our board, we seized an opportunity. We put 3 or 4 years ago now to move in a new direction, and it's been great. If people can't can't get where they need to go, they can't do the things they need to do, and we can now make that happen. But I'm here to talk mainly about the finances of the organization, and we sent material around ahead of time, so you have a spreadsheet. And
Yeah.
I'm not gonna talk about every number in there, obviously, it would be kind of boring, but I will go over the highlights of it. And there, Darren mentioned the long delay in getting the vans, and it took well over a year longer than we expected. And our funding from the provincial government kicked in early, so the effect of that was that we had a surplus in our bank account, which was doing a couple of things for us. It generated a little bit of interest income, which we didn't get, which was wonderful. And it also gave us some flexibility to adapt to things that happened, like the larger than expected demand that occurred during this past year. So that allowed us to put that extra vehicle on and to hire another staff person to help Darren do all of the administrative stuff that is coming along. So that flexibility is wonderful. And we put together some projections for the rest of this fiscal year that would be till the end of March, which we sent to you. And I'll go over the projections briefly. On the revenue side, we got a raise from our provincial funder of over 60,000 more than we had been promised. So we're now getting $232,000 a year from them. A big amount of change, and that covers around 55% of our operating budget. And from the municipal grants, question that the councillor asked earlier, we're getting 90,000, and of that, 65 is coming from MODL, 10 from Lunenburg, 10 from Mahone Bay, and 5 from the town of Bridgewater. In total, that's about 20% of our budget. We're taking only 10% from fares. Our fares are very, very low. A big chunk of that is a direct subsidy from that MODL provided, and it's 15,000 to us to lower the fares on the longer haul rides. Which makes a difference for people. If they're staring at a plus 20 or 30 trip, they couldn't go, whereas now they can do it. Fundraising and other donations from organizations like the United Way and the Hospital Auxiliary, the Lions Clubs of Bridgewater and New Germany, the Norwegian individuals and businesses brings in another 15%. On the expense side, about a third of our budget is in admin of one sort or another. Salary takes the most of that, and then running office, photocopy, all the usual stuff that everybody has to do. We're well supported by the community, and we're well supported by government. Our clients appreciate our service. We provide social cohesion. We reduce isolation. All the stuff that Deborah would have told you about when she came here last year. I think she made a big impression. We're in quite good financial position, but we are running a deficit. And the deficit will grow, and we have the flexibility from that extra money that came in early that we couldn't spend because we weren't operating as long as we expected to in the pilot. But that's going to dissipate, and the projections that we see, we're running a $100,000 a year deficit now, and that will increase if we keep operating at the same level. So we have to raise revenue or cut back service, raise fares. Those are the variables that obviously we get to play with. And raising fares is the last thing we want to do. Cutting back service is something we don't want to do. Raising more money is what we're going to try and do. So we got a couple of years to do that.
Yeah.
We understand you folks provided us with a $10,000 grant last year, and that we were going to do the same this year. That's wonderful. Next year after that, we might come back and ask for more. So thank you very much. If there's any questions about what we're doing, I'd love to try and answer, or one of the other folks here will fill in the gaps.
Councillor Wilson?
Thank you. I was struck by the notion that only 10% of your revenue comes from fares.
Yeah.
And I would assume that there's a cost associated with collecting those fares. So it's actually probably on a net basis less than 10%. Would that be fair?
I don't think so.
It's not a big cost, and
Well, I guess leading up to my question, which is, have you ever considered what would happen to your business model if you just made it free across the board?
That was the way we operated Senior Wheels. It was a donation-based service. And we were encouraged by our provincial partners and by people who ran other organizations of the sort to adopt a fare model and not have the fares too high. So we're trying that out. We liked the idea of not collecting fares. We certainly didn't want to income test people, and we would be easier. We might get overwhelmed by demand. That's not a bad thing. But we've got capacity limitations we've got to live within. We're not going to get an endless sized fleet and a staff that's big enough to drive a lot more vehicles than we've got. We don't think anyway, unless Big Daddy Warbucks comes along and funds it all.
Well, it's certainly, in my opinion, a highly worthwhile thing for us to give money to. Of all the things we throw money at, this is one that is a pretty
You know,
easy
just the
decision.
people who are handicapped in particular benefit from it. There's not a lot of choices for people who need a wheelchair lift, and we have that in most of our vehicles. And when we're, Darren's doing his scheduling and the staff there, we can put a vehicle to a place where someone needs that service, and that's a really great thing.
If we could get a little more money from town of Bridgewater, we would be really happy.
Yes.
I know somebody can twist David's arm.
That's
Sit
right.
right there.
Yeah, Councillor Feeney.
So, thank you very much for the presentation. I think that the fact, there's so much credibility that is derived from, the financial statements as you presented them in your presence here tonight, and the ridership stats. So, like, some of these things are about proof points to the community and to reestablish to our town that, this is a service that's being used, people want it, and people need it. And therefore it makes the conversation around funding it that much easier with the stats. So, I really want to, thank you for, because, it's heavy lifting. You have to record all that information. You have to figure out where the ridership's coming from. And, I'm sure your dispatchers are doing some of that at the front end, but that is so critical to being able to, when we finally get to the point where we need to talk about higher levels of funding, having those statistics is really going to be meaningfully important. So
We make a great effort to collect good numbers. It's important to me to do that.
you can certainly tell.
It helps, and Darren's been very, very good about doing that. Senior Wheels Association beforehand was collecting numbers like that as well. So we had some history doing that, and but things have had to ramp up. There's a lot more people moving around. The software that Darren talked about is gathering some of that in an automated way now, and once they get the bugs worked out of that, we'll have probably even a little bit more information than we have now.
Great, thank you.
How's your ridership in Bridgewater where they have the transit, but you have accessibility?
Well, you can
And
see the numbers on
door-to-door.
the table there. Bridgewater's numbers are there. You can see what each municipality, you're seeing numbers there that deal with rides without people who are using it without a need for a lift, and also people who need the lift. So you're seeing that month by month and totals up to the end of December, up till the end of December. And the numbers are large in Bridgewater, actually, very large.
Oh, good, yeah.
Oh, again, we have history there, like 30+ years of running with a different name, but still, it's not the same. I was told that in, more rural parts of this area, it takes quite a long time for people to hear about it, then take the jump to try it, and then, make it part of their life. If you've been depending on friends and family for transportation for forever, and that's the way it is, and it works, then they probably won't change. But if someone's moving into a new phase of life and they need a way to get around, and this all is there, and they hear about it, and somebody they knew uses it, then, then it becomes part of the fabric of the community, and building that fabric and strengthening it is what we can do. Over time, it's going to get better as time goes on.
We also do door to door and all over, and And Bridgewater, that's a big seller because seniors in particular don't want to get up there and stand at a bus stop or walk to a bus stop. And so we're really not competing with them.
Mhm, right.
Yeah.
What's the price comparison?
They,
There's $2.
in town, in Bridgewater town, or locally here, it's $2.50 here, and it would be $2 on a town bus in Bridgewater.
$2 in a town bus, okay.
If you're going farther,
Okay.
it's more, like, how much is it to whatever?
750 one way is our max.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be Bridgewater, and to go to Lunenburg, it's $5 from here, and $5 back.
I think they're taking a center for the gas.
Well, there you go.
and at the risk of over the time, going over the time, I'm sorry, and do the Bridgewater buses go out to Cookville?
No.
Not yet, okay,
Yeah.
still not.
Councillor Fawnin?
So my question is, used to be the senior wheels.
Yeah.
So why did you change your name?
Because we're everybody now, not just seniors.
Okay.
Like, we'll take anyone, if you're under 16, you'll need somebody to ride with you.
Right,
But any adult can ride, there's no restrictions.
so when they call in to book a ride, is it the same number as what you had for the senior? Okay, it's not.
It's a different number.
oh, okay,
We couldn't keep the number, actually,
oh,
we lost it.
okay, ah,
Yeah, it's too bad.
yeah,
Kind of unfortunate to be the next person who gets that.
yes.
Understood, but I guess it's on here, I just can't read the charts, because I'll lose I know I'll lose my screen if I do that for the rest of the meeting. Like the students in the community college, are they picking up on that?
We have, last year we got a couple of students that use us to get the community college. This year we're picking up 2 people on the Northwest Road that go to the community college every,
Okay,
4 times a week.
great.
And the deputy mayor made a comment, but they can't see his comment, so our deputy mayor says he's used the service and it is brilliant. I just thought it should be shared. You guys.
If If you still can't hear me,
I'm taking people from the seniors home out for the Christmas lights tour as well, which was very well received and a lot of fun. So we're here, we're around, we want to keep doing this.
Great,
We did-
Well, thank you for
Thank
your
you.
presentation.
well done.
Thanks for coming out. Freezing cold night.
Yeah, thank you.
Mayor, regarding correspondence, I moved that item 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, and 5.4 be received and filed.
Thank you, Councillor Feeney. Is there a seconder for that motion? Councillor Wilson? Thank you. Any discussion?
I have a question about
I'm going around muting.
Okay, all right.
And whether or not anybody can explain what the implications are about this new move by the province into the emergency response field and how that works with the local emergency response area. I don't know who might answer.
Are you speaking of the guard, the Nova Scotia?
Well, they are talking about having a whole new
Procedure?
relationship in terms of being involved in the local
That was the
emergency
letter from
operations.
Minister Maslin. Yeah, right, yeah. But she doesn't indicate really clearly what that is. I think it's a work in progress, but CAO?
Well, I just wanted to just ambiguate, and maybe it's not necessary, but the references to the regional command center and everything, so. There normally is that interaction with, especially major things like a hurricane, where they stand up and then the local ECCs stand up. And there's a good amount of interaction back and forth there. So, if there may be changes in the way that the province is gonna run their end, which is great for us to be aware of, but it doesn't necessarily change the nature of the role of the local ECCs. Now, that being said, there's a lot of change going on in emergency management, so there may be more changes entailed here than that, but a lot of the references to how the command center will work are to the provincial command center.
Mhm. Right, and the monitored phone number, is that new? That's available to citizens?
Yeah, I don't know that we have had back channel communication, so that may be new, like the
Yeah.
idea of, yeah.
I guess there'll be more discussion at Remo,
Yes,
probably.
I think it.
Thank you for entertaining my questions.
Okay. I'm going back, trying to get my stuff back on the screen. All right.
Oh, there was another question, which is
Councillor
because the
Carver?
first 5.3, they were asking for a donation.
The first responders.
The first responders were asking for a contribution to the wellness symposium. Is that right? Were they asking for?
They were suggesting, yes. Contributions.
I believe that we donated some money last year.
I think that we did.
Yeah,
I think it was $100, but I better double check.
it seems to me that it's a way of supporting our local fire department by doing this. We know that they face some pretty terrible situations, and to have a resource like this, I think would be worth the town making a contribution. Mr. CAO, are you looking for information about how much we?
Yeah, that's what I said. I think it was $100, but I wanted to double check what we did give last year. Of course. Well, I'm not sure. I'll be able to check on the spot.
Okay, there's different levels of donations here. But, yes.
When,
Councillor Feeney.
whenever we receive a solicitation for a donation, I'm wondering, like, what is our normal protocol about directing them to the official town application form and the application process that gets reviewed in the normal budget process? I mean, do we default to, thank you very much for your letter, here's the official form to fill out, versus having us react to the individual letter, versus to react to the letter in the, I guess with the commentary, we generally receive all of the funding requests at the same time so that we can figure out like where they fit in the hierarchy of priority for us.
That's what we expect for the grants, but time to time there's something pops up, and I think we left a little bit, we try in the budget to leave a little bit in the kitty for the pop-up types of, a baseball team, needs some funding for a tournament they're hosting or something that people can apply for. But we generally try and keep it to when we're doing it before a budget process, so that we know what's going on in the year ahead. And we only have so much money.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. But given that the request is for an event that's not until the end of April, it strikes me that the way forward here is to, let the first responders group know that there is an application process. Feel free to put in an application looking for the funding, and we'll review it in the context of our 25 other requests, all of which have a lot of merit and virtue. It's not a first come to the trough situation. We judge the portfolio based on its total merit. So anyway, that's just my suggestion.
Okay, so we had a motion, but and a seconder.
Yeah.
And we should deal with that first, and then maybe recommend if there's consensus to send it to the budget process. Is that what I'm hearing?
Can we change the motion to not include, is it 5.3?
Yeah, we could do that.
Makes sense.
Are you in favor of that? Councillor Feeney and Councillor Wilson?
Well, don't we have to receive and file?
Receive and file the other, and then just in the.
Like, we have an official process to ask the town for money. We need to direct folks to the appropriate channels to do it formally. Or we're going to be dealing with dozens of individual letters that are gonna be showing up in correspondence. So we should either deal with them in correspondence, fair enough, one by one, 26 meetings a year. Or we can deal with them collectively as per the policy and have them all come together and be adjudicated based on priority. I'm okay, it's not a hill to die on, I'm happy to support the $100 donation. I just wanna make sure that, like, we know the rules of the road, because next week there'll be another. If we're telegraphing to everyone, all you have to do is send in a letter, that's not normally how we dispense taxpayer dollars.
Councillor.
Well, I suggested that the number 5.3 not be included in the receive and file, because it seems to me that we could have some discussion about how to deal with it after the others were received and filed. So then we could deal with Councillor Feeney's suggestion, for example, separately from the other three items.
So,
So just, I guess, a couple things, because the procedural issue here, I don't think it's as much of a sticking point as it seems. We often receive and file and then make a motion on one of the things that was received and filed. So I don't think in the past that's been a motion that eliminates the ability to pass subsequent motions on those same items, just a point of clarity there. Also, I did find the grant. The reason I wasn't finding in 24-25 is that this grant was actually several years ago.
Oh, was it?
The last time we did this grant, yeah, so in the 23-24 budget, it shows up as a 22-23 contribution. And I was able to find the request at that time that we contribute. So I don't think that this has been an every year thing. This is a every couple of years thing, and it was $250. At the previous time, the minimum request they asked for bronze was 100. I noticed the letter this time, the minimum is 250.
Inflation.
So now you have all that extra information and, continue. I just wanted to make sure everybody had that information.
So we'll go through the motion as brought to the table. And then we'll deal with the item from Councillor Carver. Okay, so there is a motion to receive and file and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, ready for the question? All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed, one opposed. The motion is carried. Councillor Wilson,
I'd like to move that council direct staff to write a letter to the folks at the First Responders Wellness Symposium, instructing them on our protocols for receiving requests for donations.
okay, is there a seconder for that? Councillor Feeney? Okay, any discussion?
And I guess the deadline too, Kelly.
Yeah, well, that includes the protocol.
Okay, ready for the question? All those in favor signify with aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. Moving on to staff reports, item 6.1, staff reports to council. There are some parts.
It's hard to get used to the new
Yeah.
format.
I do like it though.
Yeah, it is.
So as usual, I guess I'll just say if there's any questions, I'm happy to take them. There's really not a whole lot of items on this report.
Early Mayor, I'd move that we accept the staff report to council for information purposes.
Okay. Seconder, Councillor Fano. Any discussion? Being no discussion, all those in favor signify with aye. Opposed, nay. The motion is carried. Thank you. And item 6.2, staff report for Edgewater Street washroom project update. So you all received that in your package.
And if I might just briefly speak to this one, so
Sure.
obviously this one is just providing an overview at this point of the Edgewater washroom project. I think we can safely say that at best it is now the Edgewater Street washroom project and not a project to upgrade both of the washrooms. And
Right.
we've previously become aware of the costs that would necessitate that
Yeah.
decision. So this is an update. Primarily, we were instructed to come back with a design. We did also update the associated estimate and put the context of confirmed external fundings in there as well. So happy to take any questions. There is a recommended motion here to proceed with tender. And then, of course, we'll find out what pricing we would get on the market, and we'll have another conversation.
Okay, is there anyone who wants to make that motion?
I'm happy to make that motion.
Councillor Wilson, a seconder?
The motion is for you.
To send to tender.
Yes, the motion as it is written in the report is the council approves the washroom designs as presented and directs staff to issue the tender for renovation of the washrooms on Edgewater Street.
I don't know where it is, it's right from the bottom there.
So I'm just,
Can we have a seconder for the motion before we,
like I said,
okay?
Second
second,
motion.
Councillor Fiend?
just a question, I'm lost in the cadence as this is, I think, the fourth time we've talked about this. So we have a public document that has all kinds of budget information included in it. So if I'm the potential bidder, if we go to tender, aren't I just gonna read the document and bid the estimate at a minimum?
Well, we've talked about this a little bit before, but you know, the thing about that is all of the potential bidders also know that all of the other potential bidders need to come in lower than their competitor.
Okay.
So in that sense, yes, we've put out, and we've talked about the wisdom or not of putting out estimates from engineers. But you know, we're going to see competition on this one, I think. It's reasonable to expect that giving people a starting point isn't gonna throw that off. In the case of the Edgewater project, we put out construction estimates. Obviously, no one was afraid to come in quite a bit higher on that one. But you know, it didn't diminish the competition in terms of the relative prices.
I think that there is a reality of council's prioritization of other capital investments. And like at some point, the numbers become so unfathomably high that you have to take a more radical approach to whether this is still the most mission critical way to spend this kind of money. Like at some point, the cost of doing that renovation gets you back into, well, why don't we just build a brand new facility, which we already knew the high water mark. So I guess I am a little surprised that we don't have a little more constraints around the ask, but I guess we'll find out when the tenders come back and they'll either be tolerable or not.
You can always say no.
We can always say no, fair enough.
And yeah, one significant thing in this case is with the external funding confirmed, obviously, a lot of that is not eligible for use on other projects. So $390,000 is confirmed external funding.
You're right, but yeah, I mean,
I mean, I totally agree.
yeah.
And we got the comparison that we're looking at $650,000 to $700,000 to build new.
Right.
But you know, that's astronomical. I wouldn't be made a whole lot more comfortable by that comparison.
I mean,
either.
not to belabor the point, Councillor Carver and I were in a meeting today with a few members of our community that you would all know well. And we just asked them sort of a theoretical question about, in your wildest dreams, what would you think the cost of materially renovating the comfort station would be? And it just says Joe Q Public, and their estimates were wildly off. They were not, you know, as I think all of ours were too. So I think these are big, take a deep breath and gulp kind of budget numbers. Anyway, it's a real eye opener for all of us.
And that may be something to take back to the communications committee as well, is everyone is way off in
Oh,
our
I know,
perception
yeah.
of what these things cost. Like cost inflation over the last number of years, like most people haven't been out building things,
Right.
buying things, so they're not personally aware of just how much prices that's going to have gone up.
Right.
And to try to convince the community that we have little
This
choices
is-
that you get to prioritize, but ultimately everything is very costly.
This is how much things cost now. Yeah.
I just, can you guys hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Hi, Colin, yeah.
I fixed one of the things.
Oh, great, you can hear me.
You're fixed now, Colin. Would you
Awesome.
like to add to the debate?
I just have one question, and it's kind of maybe pedantic, but in the note, CAO, you say confirmed external funding for provincial and federal sources available. Does that mean the sources are available or the funding is confirmed? It's not quite clear to me.
Yeah, it's always a little bit hard to speak about that, just sometimes in terms of the status of announcements of different funding.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have 4 external funding sources that are contributing to this project. 3 of them are earmarked only for this project.
Yeah.
And 1 of them can be used on this project or other projects that have an accessible, that the point of the project cost is accessible.
Okay. Okay. I wasn't unclear. I was kind of unclear about confirmed availability or funds confirmed. That's
Yeah,
all.
they're all either already in the bank or confirmed with the signed agreements, yeah.
Okay, great. Super. Thank you.
Is
That's
there
all.
any other questions or discussion? Are we ready for the question? All those in favor signify aye. Opposed? Nay? The motion is carried. Thank you. It's good to see you're not in the dark tonight, Deputy Mayor.
Well, I just pivoted position because I was kind of in a dark corner of this room, but glad I can see you all and you can see me. And you can hear me.
Yes, we can. We sure can. We're going on to item 7, council items. Councillor Carver, you have given us a notice of motion.
Yes, thank you. I provided notice of motion of January 14th, and I'm bringing that to council tonight. And in light of the 2 recent deaths in Mahone Bay resulting from intimate partner violence, and in the context of 6 women having been murdered in Nova Scotia by male partners in the 3 months since mid-October, I make the following motion: that council invite a representative of the Be the Peace Institute to speak with council about issues pertaining to intimate partner violence and gender-based violence, with particular focus on the municipal role in addressing these problems, in order that council may consider relevant and appropriate actions.
Is there a second?
Happy to second that motion.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Feeny. Discussion? May I ask one question? Would this be like a presentation to council as in our presentation time, or is this a separate presentation that may take longer than the allotted time that we offer?
That's an excellent question. I think that perhaps it could be a council decision. I know that Be the Peace Institute representatives have made presentations to other councils in the area. And I think they were done on a presentation basis. But I'm thinking that that could be the start, and there could be more discussion afterwards as we think about what we might do as a council.
Okay. Councillor Feeny.
I mean, Mayor, I'd prefer to strike that conversation in a format that the conversation can kind of go where it naturally flows and not be constrained by the limitations of a normal 15-minute presentation. So certainly I think when it gets organized, at least just from my perspective, I'm certainly willing and would look forward to participating in the conversation, at a special meeting, which I think might give us more flexibility to be able to respectfully deal with the topic. Anyway, just one opinion.
Suggestion.
Yes, thank you. I like the idea of having a bigger discussion than just within the 10-minute format. But that could be a start, and also has the advantage of having a public component, which I think is important as well. And it doesn't mean that's the end of it.
Of course.
You can then say, where would we like to go with this? But either way, it could be something to simply discuss with. I mean, this is to invite them. So if the mayor and/or CAO reach out to discuss that, perhaps that's where
we can decide where to place it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or bring it back to a future meeting and say, these are the options. How would you like to proceed?
All right.
I mean, it's not as if we're gonna fix everything in the next month.
No,
No.
no. No, not with the history of the situation. Okay, any other points of discussion, questions?
So this is really then asking the mayor and or CAO to reach out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Certainly. Ready for the question?
Mhm.
All those in favor signify with aye. Opposed? The motion is carried, and thank you for that. I'm in discussion with them almost daily these days, so I can carry that if the CAO would like me to talk to.
Yeah, if, I mean,
Okay.
let me know if you need anything.
All right, good.
Oh, sorry. I just clicked on.
Oh, okay, I thought you had more to to add to it. Okay, so we are moving on to committee reports. We'll start with, some of these have motions, I think, do they? But, we need to do them separately. Some are reports. Heritage, did the Heritage have?
Mayor, I'd move that we accept the SOTA monthly report for information.
Okay, is there a seconder?
Second.
Councillor Tuano. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion is carried. Item 8.2, Heritage Advisory Committee. Councillor Feeney, you chair that. Do you-
Actually, it's the deputy mayor's honor to chair that.
Oh, right. Council.
I am chairing that. I don't believe we have.
Sorry, Deputy Mayor.
It's okay. I am chairing that one, and I don't believe there's anything to make a motion on. We moved to approve the request to alter the exterior of 63 Edgewater Street, and the motion was carried. So I believe this is just for information, unless the CEO says otherwise.
I guess.
That doesn't come to count?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so Councillor Carver, did you
Is
request?
that not gonna come to council as a recommendation that council approve the request?
Yeah, I thought it would. So we need a motion for that.
Oh, sorry, that council approved. Yes, pardon me.
Okay.
Mayor,
So do you,
I'd second the deputy mayor's motion to approve the exterior, the alteration to the exterior of 63 Edgewater Street based on the submitted drawings.
okay, any discussions or questions?
So I think this is an elegant solution to the washroom upgrade. The original plan from maybe 2 years ago was on the front street facade. And
Yes.
although they had a beautiful design as well, it would really be in keeping with the streetscape facade. I mean, this looks like a win-win. It's tucked quietly back in the in behind, so that's full steam ahead, I would say, would be the message.
Okay. Councillor Tuano,
Is this gonna be a public washroom or is it just for the church?
just for the church.
I don't know.
Church, yeah.
For the church?
I think it's an accessibility issue
Yes.
requirement. The church is open, of course, to the public all summer, every day, so.
So I wonder how much their washroom costs.
Yeah, well, I've heard it at the Three Churches
Fair enough.
meeting. And it's expensive, just the design, because they have to work with the archaeologist, special architect,
Yeah.
right, a heritage architect, so.
Right.
Yeah, and now they've had two designs, right, so they've had to pay for two designs. Plus the
Correct.
equipment that needs to go in, so. All right, are we ready for the question? All those in favor, signify aye.
I think Brian had a question. Did he have a
Oh.
question?
No, I didn't have a question, just to let you know, I can actually talk to you now. I see and heard everything.
Hi, Brian.
Eric and I might have been distracted for the past hour. That's how long it took to help Brian actually get into the meeting tonight.
Oh,
He's here now, and I'm sorry I interrupted the voting. I thought he was trying to comment on it.
Welcome, Brian.
Yeah, that was me. I'm sorry.
I didn't know you were gone. Sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
No, I don't. All you're doing was approving the minutes of the HACs. That's fine. Carry on.
Okay, thank
Sorry,
you.
I thought you had a question, Brian. My fault.
No.
All right.
So we have moved and seconds the motion to accept the washroom design, okay. Those in favor signify with aye. Opposed? The motion is carried, thank you. Now we move down to the Policy and Strategy Committee, 8.3. Oops.
Maybe a record in terms of recommendations requiring
Counselor
motion.
Carver.
I would be happy to make a motion. I'm gonna reword it slightly. Oh, that was the committee's policy. I wanted to reword the next one, but I'll carry on. I move the council adopt the amended committee's policy
Okay, is there a seconder for that?
as amended.
Counselor Tuano seconds the motion. Discussion. As well discuss the Monday evening.
This was all thoroughly discussed.
Yes.
at the Policy and Strategy Committee.
Yes.
Okay. All right, ready for the question. All those in favor signify with aye. Opposed? The motion is carried.
So if I may, I'll just carry on with the next one, because I had a rewording of the motion. So I just would like to move that council adopt the terms of reference for the new internal communications committee.
Okay, thank you. Is there a seconder? Counselor Feeney seconds the motion. Any discussion? Questions? No, ready for the question? All those in favor signify with aye. Opposed, nay. The motion is carried. Thank you.
Shall I carry on?
Please.
Sorry.
So I'll move that council adopt the terms of reference for the internal nominating committee.
Is there a seconder for that motion?
Second.
Counselor Wilson, thank you. Any discussion? Questions? No? Okay, ready for the question. All those in favor signify with aye. Opposed, nay. Oh. Is that somebody?
Mayor,
It was just an eye.
Mayor, I'd like to make a
Okay.
slight adjustment to the next motion, if you'd indulge me. I move
Okay,
the council adopt the audit and finance committee terms of reference and develop necessary amendments to the current terms of reference to ensure that the committee is compliant with the financial reporting and accounting manual within the next 16 months.
is there a seconder? Counselor Carver seconds the motion. Is there any discussion?
Develop necessary amendments.
Okay.
Okay.
Ready for the question? All those in favor signify with aye. Opposed, nay. The motion is carried. Thank you.
Three more.
I know. I can't read.
Mayor,
my
I'd move the
screen.
council appoint public members to committees of councils as outlined in the attached document, which I'm assuming is attached, which is lengthy,
Yeah,
Yeah, it will be attached to the council
Seconded?
meeting.
council minutes.
if the motion is seconded by Counselor Wilson. Any discussion, questions? No, okay, we'll call for the question. All those in favor signify with aye. Opposed? The motion is carried.
And if I could just very quickly add on that note, so now that we have public members appointed, staff will be letting the public members know about upcoming meetings. But it was we discussed feeling that the meetings that would have taken place next week, it would not be reasonable to expect public member attendance. So those two committee meetings that would have been next week, the first meetings of those will be the March meetings.
Okay.
Just wanted to put that clarity out there.
No,
And we'll advise people that when we reach out to tell them they've been
Right.
appointed.
That's a relief. That's the last climate and environment and then the other
Planning advisory.
planning
So
advisory.
you and Kelly are both off the hook.
Was there an item for planning advisory?
There is an item.
There is,
Yeah,
okay.
the previous council sent an item through and the plan is ready to bring it back at the March meeting.
okay, all right. If there's
Okay, on that one? No,
Yes,
Mayor.
go ahead, Councillor Feeney.
Mayor, I'd move the council appoint Deputy Mayor Kings Mill and Councillor Tuano and Councillor Carver as the Communications Committee.
Is there a second for that motion?
Quick, you're right, Kelly.
Second
Quick,
by
quick, quick.
Councillor Wilson. All right, any questions? Discussion? Okay, calling for the question. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay?
Mayor, on the next policy amendment, is the expense and hospitality policy posted somewhere easily that we can easily be spoken to in these minutes? Like they're not embedded, they're easy to find the new expense
You
policy.
mean for the public? or-
Yeah, for the public,
Yeah.
just in
so-
case anyone's reading the minutes and wanting to take a
It's-
closer look at the next month.
It's
Next motion.
separately noted on the agenda, so for you guys, it's a separate linkable thing, but in the public package, it would just follow the minutes of the policy and strategy.
Okay, fair enough.
So if you're scrolling through.
Okay,
Also, it will
so-
be on the website.
Feel-
separately,
Under policy.
once it's
Right,
approved,
so,
but yeah.
you know, for the greater public, feel free to, avail of the opportunity to review the expense policy amendments. They're pretty benign. And I would move that, council adopt the amended expense and policy and hospitality policy.
Yes, and the hospitality is a requirement from the province. That's why it is done.
Second.
And second by Councillor Wilson.
Mhm.
Okay, any further discussion?
I think that's the last of them, Mayor.
Okay, let's,
No,
all
wait.
those in favor signify with
A
aye.
highly productive meeting.
Opposed? Nay, the motion is carried. Thank you. We got through that section. And
That's all
there
she wrote.
seems to be no new business that came to us, so I will entertain a motion to go into closed session. Question from gallery? Oh, is there? Any questions from the gallery?
We had a nice productive meeting for you, so thanks for.
Any online questions?
No.
Well, I thank everyone for coming this evening. We had a great presentation on our local transportation program, and also thank you, those of you at home, for joining us on this cold night in January. And
12 watching.
Yeah.
Yeah,
watching.
That sounds
so I'll stop the live stream.